Most men believe they have an identity. In reality, they are leasing one. It comes bundled with a routine, a paycheck, a set of opinions, and a narrow range of acceptable ambitions. As long as they keep paying the monthly cost, compliance, predictability, silence, the system lets them keep using it. The moment structure disappears, so does the sense of self. That is not a coincidence. That is the design. Here is the core problem no one states clearly. Identity is heavy. It requires decisions, risk, and accountability. Systems hate heavy individuals. They prefer light ones, people who can be moved, replaced, and optimized. So modern systems offer a trade. You don't have to figure out who you are. You just have to show up, follow the script, and perform the role. In exchange, you get stability. Titles. A lane. A sense of belonging. It feels like identity. It isn't. It's a substitute. From the inside, borrowed identity feels efficient. You wake up knowing where to go, what to do, and how to measure success. There is comfort in that clarity. But clarity imposed from the outside is not purpose. It is alignment. And alignment without authorship produces hollow men who function well and feel nothing. This is why so many men collapse psychologically the moment routine breaks. A layoff, a breakup, retirement. Suddenly the scaffolding is gone, and there is nothing underneath. Anxiety rushes in, not because something bad happened, but because the borrowed structure was doing all the work. The job wasn't just paying the bills. It was telling you who you were allowed to be. The system understands this weakness perfectly. That is why identity is outsourced early. School assigns labels. Career paths assign worth. Income brackets assign status. Social media assigns personality. At no point are you encouraged to build an internal framework strong enough to survive without these props. That would make you dangerous. A man with an internal identity does not panic when roles disappear. He adapts. He reconfigures. He exits. Borrowed identity creates dependency. Dependency creates obedience. Notice how carefully the boundaries are drawn. You are free to choose between brands, not between structures. You are free to customize aesthetics, not direction. You can optimize your lifestyle endlessly, but questioning the framework itself makes people uncomfortable. That discomfort is a signal. It means you are approaching something real. The most efficient control system is the one where the subject believes the choices are his. You think you chose your path because you selected from the options presented. That is like believing a menu is freedom. True identity begins where the menu ends. This is why boredom feels so threatening in modern life. Boredom used to be the entry point to self-discovery. Now it feels like psychological withdrawal. Without stimulation, roles, or validation, the borrowed identity starts to dissolve. The silence exposes the absence. Instead of sitting with it, most people run back to noise. Content, work, consumption, anything to avoid the question, if I strip this away, what remains? For most, the answer is uncomfortable, so they never ask again. Borrowed identity also explains the modern obsession with external validation. When your sense of self is rented, you need constant confirmation that the lease is still valid. Likes, promotions, recognition, status symbols. They are receipts proving you still exist. The moment the feedback loop weakens, anxiety spikes. Not because you're failing, but because the system that tells you who you are has gone quiet. An internally built identity behaves differently. It does not require constant confirmation. It is slower, heavier, and harder to maintain. But it does not collapse under pressure. It does not disappear when routines change. It does not panic when status drops. That kind of identity is expensive to build, which is why so few people have one. The system does not forbid real identity. It simply makes the substitute cheaper and more attractive. Why struggle to define yourself when a role is ready-made? Why risk isolation when conformity is rewarded? Over time, convenience wins. And with each year, the cost of reclaiming authorship rises. This is the quiet tragedy of modern men. Not that they fail, but that they never actually arrive. They move from role to role, structure to structure, always functional, never grounded. The life looks complete from the outside. From the inside, it feels strangely absent. So what is the exit? Not rebellion, not dropping everything. That is another borrowed script. The real shift is internal and invisible. You stop asking what fits the system and start asking what survives without it. You build skills that travel. You build values that do not depend on applause. You build a self that does not evaporate when routines change. This process is uncomfortable by design. Discomfort is the signal that identity is being built rather than assigned. Most people quit here. The system counts on that. Borrowed identity is always easier than authored identity. Understand this clearly. As long as your sense of self depends on external structure, you are controllable. The moment it doesn't, you become unpredictable. Systems do not like unpredictable men. If this video unsettled you, that's not accidental. It means that something recognized itself in the description. Most will ignore that sensation and return to the script. That is the safe choice. That is the common choice. Capital psychology exists for the minority willing to notice the debt before the interest compounds. The system waits for no one.